earlier this week. He was at the NFL season meeting, and he was speaking to us. Well, it looked like he might have spoke to another reporter. A recent update indicated that the Browns would start veteran Deshaun Watson at quarterback over Shedeur Sanders if the season started tomorrow. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that's what this damn article is saying. I think they clickbaiting right there. But it goes on to say the beginning of the campaign is still a handful.
That's Andrew Gribble, Browns insider, and what he just laid out should terrify Shedeur Sanders. According to his sources inside the organization, if the season started tomorrow, Deshaun Watson would be the starter, not the rookie they drafted, not the quarterback they've been developing. The guy with the $230 million guaranteed contract who posted a 76.5 passer rating last season. But here's what makes this fascinating. The offseason program starts next week, and everything we thought we knew about this quarterback competition might be about to change.
Watson is the favorite to win the starting job, Jackson wrote. Sanders is 24 and signed for 3 more seasons. He was never the team's plan last season. It might not be a plan A for the future, but giving Shedeur Sanders every chance to win the job and make real progress is clearly the best option, bruh. Goes on to say, as Watson signed fully, we already know about the contract. Then it goes on to say, he's been working on getting stronger, Jackson shared.
24 years old, signed for 3 more seasons, and according to this report, he was never the plan last year. That last part is crucial because it reframes everything that happened in 2024. The worst offensive line in football, no legitimate receiving threats. A rookie quarterback thrown into a situation designed to fail. Gribble's source is telling us what we suspected all along. Cleveland never intended for Shedeur to start as a rookie. They wanted him to sit, learn, develop. Instead, injuries and desperation forced their hand in week 6.
Here, see, that's what Shedeur needs the most to help his development. Shedeur needs game time decisions, real game time confidence, bro, to help him lead this offense. Because to me, I believe Shedeur Sanders got the locker room. We already know the young guys is rocking with him. And so maybe, now I heard this through the grapevine. Now we know that Deshaun Watson was working out with Jerry Jeudy, not none of the younger guys. That's probably because he's trying to use Jerry Jeudy to kind of
real game time. That's the phrase that keeps appearing in these reports. Not practice reps, not preseason snaps. Actual NFL games where the defense is trying to take your head off and every mistake gets dissected on national television. Shedeur got 7 starts last year. 7 games behind an offensive line that allowed pressure on 42% of dropbacks, the highest rate in the league. 7 games throwing to receivers who ranked 28th in separation. The question isn't whether he got game time. It's whether that game time taught him anything useful or just traumatized him.
Shamoka, they all close in age. It's going to be an uphill battle for Deshaun Watson winning that locker room, dog. And not to mention the stigma that Kevin Stefanski left the locker room with last year. That played a heavy factor. I believe Shedeur Sanders has the best chance to win out and do what he got to do to build that confidence and get that real game time experience to make him a premier quarterback. Now, just like I stated, it is a narrative that is going.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. The locker room dynamics. Gribble mentioned Shedeur's been working out with the young guys all off-season, building chemistry, establishing himself as a leader. Meanwhile, Deshaun Watson's been training with Jerry Jeudy in Miami. On the surface, that's just 2 veterans getting work in, but read between the lines. Watson's trying to rebuild credibility with the one established receiver on this roster. He's using Jeudy as a bridge back to relevance. The age gap matters here. This is a young locker room. Most of these guys are closer in age to Shedeur than to Watson, and after Kevin Stefanski's handling of the quarterback situation last year left a bitter taste, Watson's fighting an uphill battle for respect.
To the fan, that's their favorite person. Let's listen.
When it comes to Shedeur Sanders, I don't know that you'd find a better opportunity right now that exists in the NFL. Because what is better? Them just straight up giving him the job? Is that the idea? Like, you're not having that right now if it's Geno Smith and the Jets. Geno is going to have the advantage there. You wouldn't have it, I guess, maybe in Arizona. But even that would be a quarterback competition. I'm trying to think of the spot You're certainly not having it in Miami where they just paid Malik Willis all this money. Like, is there a better spot in the NFL for Shedeur Sanders than right now with the Browns? For me, I'm going to start this upcoming season and have an opportunity to start. Now, Spencer, we can debate whether or not this is setting him up for success, and that'll be part of this discussion. But I do think in giving him a chance to start next year, the Browns do offer him the best.
Listen to how the Cleveland media is framing this. 92 The Fan, the city's biggest sports radio station, and they're asking, is there a better opportunity in the NFL for Shedeur Sanders right now? Think about that question. Not is Cleveland a good situation, but is there anywhere better? That's how low the bar has fallen. They're comparing him to Geno Smith backing up Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, to Arizona where they might draft another quarterback. The argument is essentially, well, at least he'll get a chance to start somewhere. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement of the Browns as a destination. It's more like, congratulations, you're the least terrible option available.
Chance.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head I can think of anybody else where it's like a true competition. I mean, I get you mentioned the Cardinals. Who are they starting? I don't even know.
The Pastronaut, Jacoby Brissett.
Although I guess there's people who think they could take Ty Simpson and maybe they just start Ty Simpson. But yeah,
maybe they do. But like, think about it. They believed in him so much last year that they started him over Kyler Murray at the end of the stretch. Not even the end of the stretch. It was like what, the final 11 games last year.
Yeah, and that was when like all the rumors were going on that they were moving off from Kyler. So yeah, I mean, it certainly feels that way. He truly has an opportunity to like be here, earn the job, and this all kind of probably goes back to why
Jacoby's the incumbent is more the point there.
Yeah, this all probably goes back to why Shedeur was saying no to teams in the draft process last year, for better or for worse, I guess, and saying he didn't want to go to Baltimore because he didn't want to sit behind somebody.
But here's where the media narrative gets really telling. They're already hedging, already setting up the excuses. We can debate whether this is setting him up for success, the host says. Translation, when this doesn't work out, we're going to blame the Browns, not the quarterback. And you know what? They might be right to do that because the organization hasn't fixed any of the problems that destroyed Shedeur's rookie season. The offensive line added one new starter. They signed one proven receiver. The defense is still elite, which means the offense will get fewer possessions, which means less margin for error. They're asking a second-year quarterback to succeed in basically the same situation that broke him as a rookie.
He didn't want to go to the Eagles because he didn't want to sit behind somebody. And so now he ends up in Cleveland, where it's the one place that is unique enough where they don't have any answers at that position. So he's going to get like a true shake at this. And last year probably didn't get as true of a shake as he probably would have liked it to start out. But it feels like Todd Monken is kind of like no BSing his way through this. He's like, nope, we're going to divvy up the reps certain days. Guys are going to get more. That's how it's going to be. And it feels like Shedeur does kind of have like a lead in that way, because how could we possibly know anything that Deshaun Watson's going to bring?
Here is Dominic Foxworth on Get Up on ESPN talking about this.
With an offensive-minded head coach who says that he believes in you and a good defense to support you. Like, this isn't the worst situation in the league for a quarterback.
Dominique Foxworth on ESPN, former NFL player, and he just said something crucial. This is the best chance you're going to get probably in his career. Not this is a good situation. Not Cleveland set him up for success. Just this is as good as it gets for you. That's brutal honesty, because Foxworth knows what everyone in NFL circles knows. If Shedeur fails in Cleveland, he's probably done as a starting quarterback. Maybe he gets a backup job somewhere. Maybe he becomes a journeyman. But that window to establish yourself as a franchise guy, it closes fast. And the tape from last year didn't help. 62.4 passer rating, 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions in 7 starts. Those numbers follow you.
Rankings, I'll be just as much as
That's
I was.
number one on your list?
Number one on my list. Last year, number one on my list was this whole Dylan Gabriel's better at quarterback than Shedeur Sanders nonsense. And I was right about that. This year would be the same exact thing. So I think Shedeur is going to win that job. And as far as maintaining and being the starting quarterback, I tell Shedeur the same thing I told him last year when he was about to win the job to actually get a chance to start. All right, ball's in your court now. Like, this is your chance. You waited this entire time. This is your chance. Now it's up to you.
See, what's funny, though, is from an opportunity standpoint, like, yes, there's no other team that he could be on where he would legitimately be getting a chance to potentially start for a team. But what's funny is Shedeur's staunchest supporters would look at this situation and say, that's a stupid take. How could you say this is the best opportunity for him? Look around him, and what does he have? And you know, by the way, that if it doesn't work out for Shedeur,
Now here's where the conspiracy theories start, and honestly, they're not that crazy. The host mentions his tinfoil hat theory. If they give the job to Deshaun Watson, something else is going on. And you know what he's talking about, that $230 million fully guaranteed. The Browns are on the hook for every penny whether Watson plays or not, but if they bench him for performance, that's a PR nightmare with massive financial implications. The optics of paying a quarterback that much money to hold a clipboard while a second-year player starts? Ownership would have to answer some very uncomfortable questions, so there's real incentive to manufacture a competition where Watson wins the job, even if Shedeur might give them a better chance to win games. Not saying that's what's happening, but the financial pressure is real. And it creates a situation where Shedeur isn't just competing against Watson's ability, he's competing against Watson's contract. The media keeps bringing up Aiden O'Connell in Las Vegas as a comparison. Similar situation last year. Terrible offensive line, no weapons, rookie quarterback thrown into chaos. And nobody's writing off O'Connell. Nobody's saying he can't play. The consensus is we need to see him in a better situation before we judge. So why doesn't that same grace extend to Shedeur? Part of it is the name, the baggage that comes with being Deion Sanders' son, the perception that he's entitled, that he manipulated the draft process, that he refused to compete for jobs. Fair or not, that reputation colors how people evaluate his performance. But there's another factor, and this is what the Cleveland media won't say out loud. Shedeur looked genuinely overwhelmed at times last year. It wasn't just the supporting cast. There were plays where he held the ball too long, missed open receivers, made rookie mistakes that had nothing to do with the offensive line. The tape shows a quarterback who wasn't ready for NFL speed, and that's concerning because most quarterbacks who struggle that badly as rookies, they don't suddenly figure it out in year 2. The comparison to sitting behind a veteran becomes relevant here. If Shedeur had spent last year watching, learning, getting mental reps without the physical punishment, maybe he'd be further along developmentally. Instead, he got 7 games of getting destroyed, 7 games of bad habits forming, 7 games of his confidence getting shattered. There's an argument that playing him last year actually hurt his development, that the Browns would have been better off redshirting him, letting him grow without the trauma. But that ship has sailed. He played, the tape exists, and now he's got to prove that last year was the situation, not the player. That's a hard case to make when the situation hasn't improved much. Kevin Stefanski is still calling plays, and his offense ranked 24th in points per game last year. The offensive line is marginally better, maybe. The receiving core added 1 guy. The running game should be improved with Nick Chubb healthy, but that also means fewer passing attempts for Shedeur to develop. Here's what nobody wants to acknowledge. The Browns might not actually want Shedeur to win this job, not because they don't think he can play, but because if he wins it and fails again, they're admitting they wasted a draft pick. They're admitting they mismanaged his development. They're admitting the Watson trade was even worse than it already looks. But if Watson starts and struggles, well, that's old news. That's a sunk cost they've already accepted. The embarrassment is already baked in. So Shedeur is not just fighting for a starting job. He's fighting against organizational incentive to protect their previous decisions. He's fighting against a contract structure that makes it financially painful to bench Watson. He's fighting against a media narrative that's already written his obituary. And he's doing all of this in a situation that's barely better than the one that broke him as a rookie. The offseason program starts next week. That's when we'll see if Shedeur's been using this time to actually improve, or if he's just been posting workout videos for Instagram. That's when we'll see if Kevin Stefanski actually gives him a fair competition, or if this is just theater to justify starting Watson. That's when we'll see if the young guys in that locker room rally around him, or if Watson's veteran presence wins out. But here's my take, and this is where I probably lose some of you. I still don't know what Shedeur Sanders is as an NFL quarterback. Last year told us almost nothing useful. You can't evaluate a quarterback fairly in that situation. It's like judging a driver's skill while the car is on fire. Sure, he crashed, but was that his fault? Or was the car already totaled before he got behind the wheel? The problem is, the NFL doesn't give you infinite chances to prove yourself in better situations. You get your opportunity, and if you don't seize it, someone else gets their shot. Shedeur's opportunity is right now, this off-season, this training camp, these preseason games. If he doesn't clearly outplay Watson, they're going with the veteran. And if he does outplay Watson but doesn't get the job anyway, then we'll know exactly what kind of organization Cleveland is running. So what happens next? My prediction, Shedeur wins the job in camp, starts week 1, and the Browns go 3-4 in their first 7 games. Then the pressure mounts. The media starts asking if Watson gives them a better chance. Ownership starts sweating that guaranteed money sitting on the bench. And by week 8, we're back to the same quarterback controversy that defined last season, because that's what this organization does. They create chaos, then act surprised when nothing works. The real question isn't whether Shedeur can win the job. It's whether winning the job even matters in Cleveland, and based on everything we've seen, everything we've heard, everything this insider just told us, I'm not sure it does. Drop your take in the comments. Does Shedeur actually have a fair shot in Cleveland, or is this just delaying the inevitable? And if you think Watson should start, tell me why, because I want to understand that perspective. Hit subscribe if you want more Browns coverage as this quarterback battle heats up. This is going to be the story of their off season, and we're going to cover every angle.